So what the political and legal implications? Joining me in our Washington studio is constitutional lawyer Bruce Fein. Bruce, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
I think the million-dollar question here is what is going to happen to Robert Mueller's Russia investigation with Whitaker at the helm? What can he do? What can he not do? Can he take the funds away for this investigation?
First question is he there legally? Because under the statute that he was appointed as an interim attorney general, it is triggered if there's a resignation or death in the office. Now, everybody who actually read Mr. Sessions' letter makes it clear he was fired.
Correct.
He called by Mr. Kelly and said, you can either resign or we'll fire you. That creates a cloud over the legality of even the interim appointment. Aside from the fact that under the United States Constitution, there's called the Appointments Clause, someone cannot serve as a principal officer unless they've been confirmed by the Senate, which hasn't been done here. I look at this particular decision to fire Mr. Sessions and have the interim Attorney General, Mr. Whitaker, as the first step towards attempting to terminate or obstruct Mr. Mueller. Now, this is the jeopardy that Mr. Whitaker confronts if he does, for example, reduce the funds or curtail the jurisdiction, where he's already criticized Mr. Mueller for going too far. He then, Mr. Whitaker, could be charged with obstruction of justice. What's the motivation for doing this? If the motivation for cutting the funds is, hey, we don't want you to investigate, that's the paradigm of an obstruction of justice act.
So with Sessions out and this new man, Whitaker, in charge, is it safe to say that Robert Mueller could be one step closer to being fired?
Yes, but that then makes Mueller's firing exactly what happened to Mr. Archibald Cox as special prosecutor when Nixon fired him. The result for President Nixon was part of the articles of impeachment, which I helped draft, charged the firing of Mr. Cox as evidence of an impeachable offense. So if that concatenation of events happens, it's going to put Trump in jeopardy with the House Impeachment Committee.
Okay, what happens if, and I know this is a long shot, Whitaker recuses himself altogether from the Robert Mueller investigation? Then
it would stay with Mr. Rosenstein, which is what is ongoing at present.
But are there legal issues at that point, him being acting attorney general?
Those issues are going to remain no matter whether he recuses himself or not.
Can Trump keep him in that position indefinitely?
No.
How long can he be acting attorney general?
Assuming that he's there legally under the statute, he has 210 days maximum to serve. But then he hadn't been confirmed by anybody or anything. Obviously, that could be curtailed if President Trump nominates somebody much more quickly that goes through a Senate confirmation.
Let me go back to Sessions. His firing, his ouster, forced resignation, whatever we want to call it, not a big surprise because President Trump had repeatedly berated his attorney general. But what do you make of the timing, Bruce? The fact that it happened one day after the results of the midterm elections were announced.
Yes, and I do think the timing is critical here because remember, Trump said he's going to revamp his cabinet. How come only one person was selected to be the first on the chopping block? I think there are two things that have happened with the midterms. One, Roger Stone, a longtime, very close friend of Trump, had at least a half dozen of his associates subpoenaed and testified before the grand jury, tying Mr. Stone to WikiLeaks and Julian Assange, who published the hacked emails that Russia had from the Democratic Committee. I think Mr. Stone called Mr. Trump and said, we got to shut this down. It's getting close to the bone here. I'm going to have to go under. I've done favors for you. You need something from me. The second element is the takeover of the House by the Democrats that said, you're no longer got a free ride, Mr. Trump. These kinds of questions are now going to require subpoenas of executive branch officials, and that caused Trump to say, we need to get rid of this now.
As always, offering us great insight. Bruce Fein, thank you so much.
Thank you.